I just kept going back to him, and I just was like, this is amazing. Like, what the hell is this technology? And everybody needs to know about it. Like, no. I don't want to open up a wellness center. I just want to do Shockwave.
It's all, in the end of the day, it's all about the money.
And it's been quite the journey. So that's kind of my story, is how I got into it.
Why restrict something that works, something that does not have side effects, something that changes lives?
We are on the right track.
It still blows my mind that there are practitioners out there that invest in the device and they have no fucking clue how to use it. They're sales pitches.
Yeah.
They're not trainings. I love Shockwave community. Today I have a guest from all the way from Denver, Colorado, and we're going to talk how Kathleen started in Shockwave therapy journey. So Kathleen, you're not a practitioner, yet you decided to invest in Shockwave and build a partnership around it. What made you confident this was the right move?
I was a patient of a provider about probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, maybe. I mean, I've kind of lost track of time. Hani Saeed is a big part of the Shockwave community, through Chiropractic. I think you know this. And
Yes.
I was teaching a lot of yoga at the time, and I have a little hypermobility, and I had a micro tear in my Achilles. And so I just searched, podiatrist. He came up. He just had purchased the radial device. This is kind of funny because this is kind of part of his story too. So I went to see him, and he was kind of in between two offices, and he said, "Hey, I just got this new device. Why don't you come by my office?" It's like, I think it was like $100 a treatment or something like that, maybe less.
Good.
And let's see if we can, heal your Achilles. So I did, I think, 3 or 4 treatments. The first treatment, of course, sent me off the table. Your Achilles is super sensitive, and it was just the radial. He didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
So I did, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 treatments, and loved it. It healed up, within, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 weeks, the protocol. Took some time. And then he just became my podiatrist, because I think everybody needs a good podiatrist.
Yes.
And then I think maybe I had sprained my ankle. Like, I don't remember all the treatments I had with him, but over time, he had gotten the focused, and then he had gotten the EMTT. I had like medial epicondylitis, kind of golfer's elbow in both forearms that he treated. I had a sprained ankle. I just kept going back to him, and I just was like, this is amazing. Like, what the hell is this technology? And everybody needs to know about it. So I started referring a ton of people to him. And this is kind of a funny story, because I'm a golf pro. I've been a golf pro for about 20 years. And I've also been in the fitness industry my entire career, and have a master's in kinesiology. So all this body movement, healing, regenerative stuff was, I just had my claws in it. And I just thought it was like, this is the future of healing, right? And so I kept referring all these people to him, all of my golf clients to him. And he probably won't want me to tell you this, but he started comping a lot of my Shockwave. I had referred so many people to him. So then this was before COVID, and he had an office across his way that was going to be a regenerative office, and it just was sitting empty. And I said, "Hey, do you want me to be your business development person? Like, I can help you open up this office." We met, and then COVID, and then after COVID, we met a couple other times. I probably really started thinking about this, 6 years ago, honestly, because it was before COVID, maybe 7. Because, we're 5 years in after COVID, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I look back at some of these emails, and I was emailing him about a partnership, probably 7 years ago. And because he was just so busy, and I could tell there just wasn't really space for me, not in a personal way, but podiatrist, surgeon, the guy never sleeps. He's doing Shockwave at night. He's doing Shockwave in his after hours with everything else that he was doing with podiatry. So I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. What do I do next? So I approached a golf client of mine who had done some Shockwave with Hani, and I said, "Hey, I really want to start this business." She said, "Oh, we should open a wellness center." I'm like, no. I don't want to open up a wellness center. I just want to do Shockwave. And I knew that I needed a business partner financially, and then also, to find a doctor. So that didn't work out. So then I approached Eric in 2021, maybe. God, just time flies. And then it took us about a year to kind of really pull the trigger. I mean, I pushed and pushed and pushed, and finally I was like, we just need to order the devices. So we started with the radial and EMTT. And then I decided the name to be Regen 3. 3
Okay.
is a really powerful number for me. At first, it was gonna kinda be like renew, restore, repair, and then it went to therapeutics, and then that was too long, and nobody could spell therapeutic, so then I'm like, "Let's just be
Yes.
3, Shockwave."
Yes.
So, we've been in business now, I mean, a little over 3.5 years, not quite, maybe 3.5 years, and it's been quite the journey. So that's kinda my story is how I got into it, I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
I still use it. I still have Eric do treatments on me. I've treated my
Yeah.
shoulders, I mean everything. Like I wish we could just soak in it like we did back in the day when they were doing kidney stone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right,
So
right.
that's kind of the story.
Yeah, yeah. That's an amazing story because there are a lot of practitioners that hesitate. There are practitioners and hesitate to invest in Shockwave. You believed so much, non-practitioner, and made it work because it's truly magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
also what I learned is, and this is no fault, but I feel as though doctors are not great business people. They're
no,
very much the technician, they're doing the job. And I've been an entrepreneur for over 25 years.
yes,
And so for me, I'm the visionary. I see
yes,
an
yeah,
idea and I'm like, let's do this. I don't necessarily have all the steps to get there, which
yes,
is kind of where Eric comes in, but I truly, when I believe into something, really truly believe in it, that's kind of how I've created my entire career from
yeah,
ground zero with my golf and wellness. And I'm very passionate about wellness and fitness. That's been
yes,
part of my life
yes.
since I was 15.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's
So,
amazing. So then, I don't know, you guys have been part of the I Love Shockwave community for about, I think, 2 years now.
yeah, about two and a
Two
half. Yeah.
years or yeah, two
Yeah.
and a half. My God,
Yeah.
wow, time
I
truly
know.
flies.
Maybe 3. I don't even know. I lost
Yeah,
track.
yes, yeah, yeah. How was that experience? Like, what is your feedback so far on like the training and everything else?
I mean, I think it's just, when we first kind of started getting into the business, I think this was before we, saw you, is we had gone to, I think Eric went to one of the, which one was it? Not the, it was, I think it was one of the Curemetics ones in Boston. He did that one.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, which I think was pretty good, but it's a lot
Yeah.
of people. I don't think it's enough hands on personally. And they may
Yes.
have changed it by now. And then you forget because it's just like a
Yes.
2-day thing. And then I went to one in Phoenix, and again, I was kinda like, "Okay, like, I get this." Not that I'm the best business builder in the world, but it was a lot about marketing and all, and I kinda feel like I
Yes. Yeah.
know those things, and it just wasn't enough hands-on, and I also know for me, and I would say with Eric too, or just in this business in general,
Yeah.
even as a golf pro, a Class A professional with the LPGA, we had to do I wish there was more practicums. Like, the
Yes. Yeah.
practical work, the clinical work, the actual doing and experiencing, I think is one of the most important things, at least that I found in this industry, and so, by having these videos and these protocols for something that we can really refer back to. I mean, I still go back and watch your videos. Even though we
Yes.
have the
Yeah.
protocols, I still go back and watch them. And I think that has been really pivotal for us to feel like we have something that we know works. Cause I know in the beginning, not having these protocols, like even with, Saeed, I'm not sure what kind of protocols he had, but it was, 3 treatments and he kind of did them all the same. At that time, I'm sure he's changed it, but they were like 15-minute appointments. So now having these protocols and really working them by the book and by what you've done, we're seeing more results. So I think
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and to be able just to go back and refer to it and just watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for that because that, when we love something, when there's a passion, but then there's a challenge, it creates those breakthroughs. Myself, I went in 2013 in Salzburg, Austria at the ISMST, International Society for Medical Shockwave Treatments.
Okay.
And my only goal was, okay, I want to go and learn how to use shockwave therapy properly.
Right.
And it's an amazing conference. I highly recommend anybody to go and learn about the science of shockwave. But when it comes to hands-on, they just started to add now because before there was literally no hands-on. Just take the handpiece and just show it, do it here. If you like, this is how you hold it, this is how you do it. It's like, I know how to hold a wand. I want the fine tuning, the nuances
Right.
for each condition. And
And
then
radial was the first, right? Like, wasn't radial really the first? I mean, they had some focus, but wasn't it like a, and maybe I'm incorrect on this, but I felt like it was like a higher medical grade and they kind of changed it over the years? Because
no,
radial,
what has happened is neuro, because it's regulated, focal was first.
okay. In Europe.
Radial came in Europe.
Okay.
So radial came as a substitute of the focal because the focal devices were so expensive
Right.
to maintain, to do it, they created the radial. So the regulation in Europe, doctors are the only practitioners, medical doctors and orthopedic surgeons that can use focal. And then physiotherapists can use radial. So physiotherapists cannot use focal in Europe.
Interesting.
And there's a big fight because it's a modality that works. There's so many people that need help. Why restrict it? But they want to keep the restriction because of controlling the market. It's all, in the end of the day, it's all about the money. And so even myself, when I went at that time, the differentiation wasn't as significant. So I took the training on both and I was certified to use both as a physio and all that. That's not a problem. And now every year they're distinguishing even further, like
Really?
making it clear, yes.
Okay.
So the good thing is in North America, there's no regulation. So then everybody's using it. And it's my personal opinion is that Shockwave is so good for every human and animal. Like you can treat even animals.
Hmm.
Why restrict something that works, something that does not have side effects, something that changes lives?
Hmm.
Because we have to remember North America is so wide and spread. So why people in small town, suffer in pain
Yeah.
because they don't have a medical doctor or orthopedic surgeon. And then physios and chiros in North America are considered, primary healthcare providers.
Right.
So that's what I say. It's like in North America, as long as you're a physio and a chiro, especially for like muscle skeletal treatments, you can do it. For aesthetic purposes, it's a whole different story. Anybody, can use that, and there's no regulation for it.
But there's not a
So
lot going on right now in the US. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about what I've seen
yes, yes,
with my
yeah,
pilot program, which I'm super excited about, but I feel like I was talking to Paul Harborough, I'm sure you know Paul.
yeah, yes, yeah.
I
I've
talked to
heard. Yeah, I
him.
met him
Yeah.
once. Yeah,
We, we communicate a lot on LinkedIn, he's got these big,
yes,
programs, and he's just like, the US is blowing up. And,
yes.
it's gonna be very, I don't know if he said stagnant. There's only so far that they can go in the UK, in Europe
Yes. Yes.
because of all
Yeah.
the rate, and I'm sure maybe Canada's the same.
Yeah. It's interesting. When it comes to shockwave, things are better. And one thing is that I've been doing shockwave in Canada since 2011,
Mhm.
and I pushed a lot of regulations. Like I've pushed a lot of associations to implement it. And then a good distributor in Canada, Bob Remington, who has Vail Medical in States.
Yep, in Utah?
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know where,
Yep.
but anyway, he's very, again, big visionary guy. So he brought a lot, like he was the one that brought for the first time, Shockwave to Canada, brings a lot of new technologies. And then I brought another device 2018 from Europe, which was an electrohydraulic system, FlashWave, but then they went out of business during COVID.
Flash wave?
So yeah,
Is that the same as the focal wave?
no, it's an electrohydraulic system. It was the best electrohydraulic system that I ever tried and tested. The technology was so simple.
Uh-huh.
No water system, nothing.
Oh,
Like very, very clean from that regard. You had the iPad, all the updates happen through the app. Was very powerful, like extremely powerful, simple, expensive to run it because of the consumable cost. But anyway, so what we did is we forced Healthcare Canada, educated them. When I brought, for example, FlashWave, we licensed the devices for urology, for aesthetics, for MSK. So it has enforced regulation at Healthcare Canada level that this device can be used for those conditions. Where in United States, one thing that's happening, if one device get approved under FDA, other companies can use their registration and say, my device is similar to that and bring it in the country, which has allowed the shockwave market to be flooded with, I would say, like false shockwave devices.
Junkie.
Like junky, literally junky devices. And what kills me, or what blows my mind, they sell them for 80, $90,000, devices. So just to make it clear, is again, I don't make any commission from stores or from anyone. But when we look at, for example, stores is from Switzerland. They have the science. It's a shockwave device. MTS, which is soft wave, that's a shockwave device. That's a really good device for electrohydraulic systems. And then even the physio wave, for instance, Richard Wolf, these sort of devices that have history, they have the studies, they have the technology. Anything else is just literally a copy of these devices. And then you have no clue if it's producing shockwave, what it's doing, how deep it's going, how the energy is being delivered, because that's so important. I learned this from Stefan Bundrock, who teaches our men's health courses. He's a urologist from Germany, and he was using another German device, which is not available in States. And when he was doing ED treatments, he noticed that the focal shockwave was causing bruising in the penis. And very, very light, though, very
Right.
light. But then how can a focal device that you don't actually feel it in the skin cause bruising?
Yeah.
And then he learned that the energy of that focal device was very superficial, concentrated right at the tip of applicator, and that's why that was happening. So,
Interesting.
so these are nuances that the tool is very important to know what you want to treat, like what
Mhm.
conditions you want to treat. But then is the training, because I'm not lucky because I force myself not to be tied just to one brand, one device. Like I
Right.
have different brands, different devices, so I can see how they actually work, how they come. You can pretty much apply our protocols or our, for example, training with every type of device. Is just what changes is the nuances, like how you do it and all that, and then you can make it work. So yeah, yeah,
What do you think? I think what I'm seeing now, just, in the market is, everybody's claiming they have Shockwave. And
yeah.
we
Oh,
know,
oh my God,
yeah,
yes, yeah,
and that's, I mean, and not to be, I'm a little bit of a snob where I'm like, okay, well, what kind of Shockwave? Like, I think I told you
yeah,
this. There was some sort of Facebook ad that
yeah.
said that it was soft wave Storts. And I'm like, Storts doesn't market soft wave. That's
Yes,
not a
yeah, yeah,
Storts product. And I was
correct.
just kind of like, how do people kind of get away with that? And I think for me, one thing that I really want to do this year on my kind of docket or goals is do some podcasts or recordings or whatever just about kind of the shockwave world and what's going on,
Yes,
whether
yeah,
it's in the US or not. But I do think so. My master's is in education. So I was born to teach and coach. Like I
yeah,
love it. It's such a passion of mine. And so when I tell people about shockwave, they can see that. But I also just think it's important to really educate them because people
yes.
don't know what it is still.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It blows my mind because I've seen the trend. It's, let's say, almost like 10 years ago, we had people from all over North America flying to Edmonton for treatments, and it was just word
Okay.
of mouth.
Right.
And it's interesting because the furthest that the word of mouth has traveled for unpaid clinic, like my clinic,
Hmm.
it was as far as Singapore. I had a
Oh,
client calling from Singapore wanted to come for treatment because she had a friend in Edmonton, which is, I call it the North Pole, is the northest
right.
in North America, the most populated one. Anyway, she had some chronic pain. I said, no, you don't have to travel all the way to Edmonton because number one, there's nothing to do here. Number two, we don't want you here. I'll help you. And so I was able to research, find, a proper shockwave device. And then she went, I never heard, back
Right.
since. But anyway, it is something that, and thank you for bringing this up because it's a very, very hot topic. It blows my mind. It still blows my mind that there are practitioners out there that invest in the device and they have no
No.
fucking clue how to
To
use it.
use it. I know.
I cannot be more
Yeah.
brutally honest than
No,
that.
yeah.
I had a runner last year from Victoria. He went to a physio place because he was getting professional runner, was getting treated by me in Edmonton for years. We always helped him. He won like world races and he ended up with Achilles issues, went to a local physio, did 10 sessions, still had to jump on the plane, stay in Edmonton to get treated. And I said, why? Like it should have worked.
10?
Even if they don't know, yeah, even if they don't know how to use it, like just putting the device on the Achilles tendon,
Right.
it should have made some difference. And he said, Ron, they didn't use any gel. And I said, like, what? Yeah. So this is the reality out there, what happens or what I hear. And then for example, the actor, like the one for lymph and muscle relaxation, I had literally a salesperson was selling devices and he wanted to create courses for him. So I go and he sends me his protocol. And I said, okay, I'll do it for your brand. We agreed on everything. And then I see the V actor, he says to use it over the cloth. It's like, no, you
Oh,
cannot
no.
do this. So I remember what has happened. Vail Medical, actually, this was 3-4 years ago when they took the US market or entered US market, they had a big sales force. They invited me to train. And these were people that were selling devices even prior to being with Vail. And they did not know the difference between, the radial and the focal. But again, it was Bob that wanted to enforce that. He wanted that, okay, if they're going to represent him, at least they know how to do things properly. So this goes because we're being here brutally honest, and that's what I want this to be for every practitioner who's listening. Because if we are taking this time, I want to provide a value. When you said about trainings, most of the trainings organized by distributors, they're sales pitches.
Yeah.
They're not trainings. The
Right.
goal is just to sell the device. It's
100%.
not to actually train you how to use it properly.
Mhm.
Because as you said, it's like how many trainings we took, 2 days training, Monday starts, you remember 3-4 things,
Yeah.
you forget the nuances.
Yeah.
So, and that's what it cost me thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to create, the app, to create all the online, to have the community, because sometimes it's not just the training protocol. No human is the same.
Right.
Sometimes things don't go the way you want it. And that's why I wanted to be available. And the main reason is that if Shockwave is not used properly, it damages the field. And
Yes.
when you damage the brand, nobody benefits from it.
Right.
There's no competition here. We need to elevate the shockwave as a modality or non-invasive regenerative therapies. This is the thing. And another thing is, for example, a lot of because shockwave it's a regeneration tool, you can use it in many different aspects. So
Mhm.
it also has a difference if it's used, by orthopedic surgeon. I say it's used more as a welding machine because their main focus is just, or
Right.
if it's used by doctors that do mostly orthobiology, their goal is just to enhance the stem cells and PRP, and it works beautifully with that. And then what we teach, so I love Shockwave, it's more treating the dysfunction while you stimulate regeneration, because in private practices, in chiro, in physio, people come to get results. We get paid based on results. You don't
Right.
produce result, you don't go back.
And how would
That's
when you we get a lot of patients that the regenerative world is growing. You got the red light therapy,
yeah.
BRP, cold plunge, like all these standalones. We have there's I don't know if it's a franchise, but it's called Recovery One. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're here
Okay.
in the
No,
States.
no.
And they're now below us, which is fine. And I don't
Okay.
really see it
Yeah.
as competition because
Yeah.
I think for me, my goal, and again, what I'm kind of seeing in the industry is like, I just want people to know we just do shockwave,
Yes.
period. Now,
Yes.
granted, yes, Eric's a chiro, and if they want the chiropractic services, they can also like marry into that portion of it. But
Yeah.
I think where people, and this is even like in the fitness world and the wellness world and supplements, is like you give too many choices of a menu. And so when I maybe Google Shockwave or look up Shockwave, you'll go to somebody's website and they have 25 different things they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you know? So one of my biggest goals for our clinic is that it's just Shockwave. We have focused, radial, and EMTT. But my question to you is what we see a lot of is, well, how is it different than red light therapy? And what I say is it's very different in the terms of depth, because I don't think any red light can
Yes.
go 6 inches,
No.
right? But red light can go up to an inch, can't it?
Yeah, it depends on the strength, and we have to understand that light is energy. Light is more just to simulate biological response, where shockwave uses sounds. So you can just say it's shockwave is the same technology as they use to break up kidney stones.
Which I talk
So
about that. Yep.
it's a physical vibration that cleans up the tissue and then it activates regeneration. So
Right.
shockwave is the regeneration seed that you reset the body to do the healing, the regeneration, where red light, radio frequencies, even EMTT, for instance, even EMTT is more as a fertilizer.
Right.
Like it
Okay.
enhances. So these are more fertilizers because none of them has the ability to physically clean up the tissue. The only way they clean up the tissue is through biological response, which takes so long.
Right.
Where with shockwave, that's why so many people or clients love the shockwave because they feel the change instantly.
Mhm.
If a shoulder is not moving because there's a tissue restriction, fascia restriction, you physically release that in one session
Right.
while you're stimulating the biological response.
Right. Right. Okay. That makes
Where
sense.
lasers, for example, laser is way stronger red light. It still cannot achieve the effect of the shockwave.
So like I love the term of kind of the remodeling of the tissue. Is that like kind of, I mean, can red light can't do that. Basically what you're saying is, I mean, what does red light do then? Like what's the main thing for red light therapy?
So that works more on the pain receptors,
Aha.
is to
Okay.
calm down the pain. It reduces the inflammation superficially,
Like an
but
inch?
not, yeah, like max probably.
Right. Okay.
Depends on the strength of
Okay.
the light and the system. But with shockwave, you can literally hit the hip bone.
Right.
You can go at that level and release, or you can do like such a deep work with the focal shockwave.
Right.
Like even a radial shockwave, it's still more powerful than all those things together
Right.
because it's using sound. It's acoustic wave. And then the beauty of shockwave is that there's no heat or cold released.
Mhm.
You don't have other side effects caused from like overheating the cell.
Mhm. Okay, that makes sense. Well, and then the other thing we see a lot of is, which you probably know this, a lot of PTs, people will do dry needling.
Yes.
And they're like, "Well, why does dry needling work?" And let's say, because I feel like radial is like a ton of dry needling in what,
Yes,
in the
correct.
surrounding
Correct.
area.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
But we have a patient right now that feels as though dry needling is working better than the radial.
Okay, yeah, I'll explain this. So the reason is because dry needling over only forces the muscle that it's overworking to let go.
Okay.
Like there's no choice. Like it just literally forces the muscle. If the client is an athlete or if they have like significant muscle tightness, thickness, what I do then in those cases, I go and treat them with focal,
Instead
very
of the
high
radial.
energy instead of
Yeah.
radial.
Okay.
And then when you do focal at high energy, let's say if it's for the hamstring muscles, because usually that's where is it for the hamstring? Do you know
No,
the
it's for
case?
his back. Like, we got him where we wanted to, and then he just, he's like, "I just feel like dry needling." Now, it may be less expensive, I don't know, I mean,
It
possibly.
is less expensive, but then one thing they have to remember is that there's no regeneration from the dry needling.
It's just a
You
release
only
of, like, a
temporarily
spasm.
releases
Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
but there's no. So when you do the shockwave, it's a compounding regenerative effect.
Right, right.
Even if it doesn't have the effect right away, it could, in 2 or 3 months, poof, the body releases. I
Mhm,
had a case, I had a pro bodybuilder who was at that time around like 62.
mhm.
He had a elbow contracture surgery, could not extend his arm, and I only had radial at that time. This thing was like I started with the radial initially as well. So I did 3 sessions of radial full on, and he would not feel it. So that's how I knew that how thick the tissue was.
Oh, you mean it was so high he couldn't even feel it? So then you're
Yeah,
basically saying the tissue's so kinda calcified or bound up that
correct,
okay.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did 3 sessions and I said, you know what? Let's take a break. Let's see what the body does. And 3 months later, he shows in office almost in pain, like tear pain. He said, my elbow is killing me. I never had this pain for 10 years. And I said, this is great because that's how long it took for your cells to do the cleanup and to initiate the inflammatory response. Then we did 2 or 3 sessions after that. In 6 months, he had full extension. We even
Interesting.
have it in unpaid clinic, like it's a written testimonial explaining this journey. So what happens is, even with Shockwave, you can only stimulate the body to heal itself. And this is the beauty of Shockwave, that it doesn't cause any artificial change. It jumpstarts the healing. It cleans up the tissue. It resets inflammatory response, but it allows the body to go through inflammation. So that's how Shockwave works.
Right, right.
Usually personal experience, because I've seen, people even when people go and get stem cells or PRP.
Yeah, let's talk
Yes.
about that. This is a good one because you hear that a lot. Like, "Well, I'm gonna go get PRP or stem cell because it's gonna work better," and I'm kinda like, "I don't know, because
No, no, because let's take the knee. Let's take the
right.
knee as an example. So what I see with the knee, I just had literally a guy, regular client of mine. His knee's been bothering him since last year. He had PRP, he had everything possible, and still in pain. And the reason is because when I looked at is the distal aspect of the quadriceps muscle wasn't supporting the knee as much. So when you have muscle loss, what happens is when you walk functionally, all the structures around the knee that tighten up, the ligament, the tendons, because something must keep the knee stable.
Right.
If the muscle is not doing, then it's going to be the connective tissues. And so when those people go and get stem cells, because the X-ray, the MRI showed that there is a physical damage in the structure, you're only trying to repair the structure without looking what caused that damage.
Right,
What
right.
was the damage? What happens is, now the question is why the body is not bringing the stem cells to do the repair there. The stem cells are inside your body. You
Oh, so
have
you're
those
saying
cells.
why aren't they going to that area because they're stuck or what?
No, so why they're not going naturally?
Right,
If you
okay.
have a physical damage, if you have a physical structure damage, why the stem cells are not going to repair that?
Mhm.
And this is something that it's becoming more and more popular. And this is again my personal experience and what I've seen in real world. When people get injured, the first thing that they do, they start using ice, they start using anti-inflammatories because they
Right.
cannot handle pain.
Blood heals.
Exactly. So pain is the signal. Inflammation is the first step of regeneration and remodulation.
Mhm.
Let the body go through that process, help the body to go through the process, and it will heal. So I know we went a little bit in rabbit hole, but we need to explain this. So now when you go and get stem cells, it's been already a year or two that you're suffering with knee pain, and you
Mhm.
heard that these stem cells are great. They're great if you have a nervous system response triggering healing response. So what could happen is during the application of the stem cells, just the fact that you put the injection and you poke, you can trigger healing response, inflammatory response, and that's when the stem cells work. But sometimes, due to the scar tissues, adhesions, dysfunction, tightness around, even if there is a inflammatory response, the body cannot bring because the tissue, the joint is congested from scar tissues,
Right.
adhesions, and muscle tightness. Like there's no good blood flow and all that stuff. So that's when stem cells fail. So I say why we need to helicopter the cells from one body part to the other body part, where we can do that with Shockwave naturally. So
Right.
what you do, you go and treat the whole knee. Yes, it takes time. And then if you want to accelerate the healing, then do the stem cells after you do the Shockwave,
Yeah,
and then
makes
do
sense.
EMTT while you're having the shock, the
This
stem cells or
okay.
PRP. So I always say, treat the dysfunction first, eliminate the dysfunction while you're trying to stimulate and regenerate the tissue. One thing that I'm noticing recently that's working, at least in my clinic, is the peptides. Because with Shockwave, we're getting the healing response going, adding the EMTT, enhancing that. Then we have some other tools that we use. We have AI robot trainer, so we can train the brain and the muscle all the time. When you add the peptides are triggering the brain to release more, growth factors or
Mhm.
whatever peptide you're getting. So then the body has more building blocks, and it's actually working, just our experience, better than stem cells and better than
What peptides? Because there's a lot of peptides out. Are you doing injections or are you doing supplements?
In
Or
Canada,
not
they're not
you, or in Canada?
in Canada, they're not allowed to be used in the clinic. So patients or clients use it on their own.
Okay.
So I don't know how they source it. They use that BBC 157
Yeah, I've heard that.
or whatever, whatever peptide is more for stimulating
Right,
tissue regrowth or
right.
regeneration. So these guys are mainly pro athletes, but I had a pro bodybuilder like international level tore his pack, and to have, from full bruising to literally in a month back like full on exercising,
Mhm.
that's insane. But
So
that's the
he fully
combination.
tore it or with partial tear? Like,
Partial tear, but
yeah,
it was
yeah,
significant. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
moment that you have bruising, it's
yeah.
not it's
Okay.
not something easy. So yeah, so it's very hard. So all if just to kind of close this topic for this, yes, there are a lot of clinics claiming that they do shockwave, but number one, you have to look if they have the right tool, if they have the right training, because you can invest on the tool if you don't use it properly. It's like any other tool. It's you don't know how to use it, you're not getting the maximum
Right,
benefit of it. It's going to be hard because then I see all kind of pricing as well, very cheap prices for Shockwave. And then the device, has a problem. They cannot afford it to repair, and the device ends up collecting dust.
right.
I'm not making this up. I've seen this.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, it's, like when you think about the fitness world, somebody buys an elliptical and then you end up hanging your
Yes.
clothes on it because you're not using.
Exact. It's exactly the same
Yeah.
thing. It's
Okay.
exactly the same thing. So, Kathleen, tell me about your aesthetic pilot project.
Okay.
So, you have taken Shockwave now, not just the MSK. You took our training on aesthetics, and you're just launching it.
Yes. So what I did, and I'm super excited because we're already seeing, or the ladies are already really like excited about it. So what I did is I did a minimum of 6 sessions at a kind of a highly discounted rate so that I could get, practice with it. So the patients could kind of see the response in their tissue. And I would say there's probably like 3 or 4 ladies that want to continue. But one thing that I did really what I think is very interesting about the aesthetics program and how we're going to quote unquote market or sell it. I mean, I kind of have my own avatar in terms of, 45 to 65,
Yeah,
healthy, because if you're not healthy, age, I think is a significant factor with the aesthetics too.
yeah,
I will say that if
yes.
you're 35 and 65, it's going to be different for sure. So what I think is the most, like when you get your first treatment. So how I did it is I brought a patient in. Now we didn't have the D20. We only were using the F15 for a
15,
while, like
yes.
kind of on my own pace. And then we got the D20. And I will say, I think that makes a difference.
Correct.
So we switched to the D20 with the little applicator head. And I don't know if it's a different dispersion with that. And maybe you can help
It is,
me.
it is, it
Okay.
is completely different. So it's a 20 millimeter applicator. It is similar to the D20S,
Right.
which
That I
is
did know.
interesting because the energy it's wider, and also there is almost like a micro vibration oscillation that comes from it,
Mhm.
which helps more muscle activation.
Right. In the
It's
face.
not just for the skin, and then
Yeah.
you're covering more area, like
Okay.
5 more millimeter
Okay. Okay.
per
Yeah.
shot compared to the F15.
Right.
So the F15, it's a plastic cup. It's way more intense on the
Mhm.
on the skin.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they made that change.
Yeah, so I think everybody, it's kind of loud. I mean, I think most people, I said if you want to wear earplugs, you can. The protocol wasn't like full neck and chest. I mean, I literally kind of did, the whole face and then under here and then the side and then right underneath kind of the platysmal. That's kind of how I did the protocols.
Yeah.
In terms of
Yes. Yeah.
shocks. And so the first appointment, I always did a before and after. And the reason I
Yeah.
do before and after with the first appointment is so they can kind of see that biological response right out of the gate.
Yes,
Like
correct.
that kind of fullness and shininess and lifting, and
Yes,
it's somewhat, it's not, for some it's dramatic, but I've had a couple gals that were younger and their skin is different. Like I've only worked on
yes,
some really fair women like me. I had a couple gals that had a little bit of Latino in them. They responded
yeah,
differently, right? I've not had any,
yes,
Black people. I'm really curious to see how their skin responds.
yes,
And I think that you kind of have to put all of that up front. And how I'm quote unquote selling it is this is just one more tool in your tool belt to keep the collagen production, the skin elasticity, and the health. I mean, it's like a workout, right, for your face. But I also still recommend, I'm doing microneedling alongside
yes.
it. And then I'm also recommending, and how I'm explaining this, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you do the radial and then you incorporate the microneedling, it just allows the microneedling to work better and
Better,
faster
faster.
and
Yes,
better results maybe in terms of
yes,
the way the
yes.
tissue is regenerating.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because and this is one case when radial shockwave is the best for aesthetic purposes
Mhm.
versus the focal. The focal, it's almost like I don't want to say it overkill, but it just the focal point is much deeper, so it's more for the muscles. Unless you use defocused defocused applicator, which for example stores has a they call it C actor. So instead of being more pinpointed, it's more wider.
Okay.
Some other, I think, soft wave already they're between, they're not really focused. So that's why they call it soft wave because they're in between the focal and the planar shockwave. So if you want, if you only have, let's say, a what they call a true shockwave device, electromagnetic, electrohydraulic, or piezoelectric system, then you must use for a face, if you want, the planar head. And that's actually distribute the energy wider. So it's not pinpointed, concentrated.
Right. Okay.
But what Stores has done is because it's cheaper, they call it acoustic wave. They've created applicators, the radial, it's beautiful because the maximum result it's on the skin and the superficial layers. It doesn't go as deep. It's cheap to do it. And then when shockwave is used for aesthetic purposes, does not create artificial change. So it's not like Botox, it's not like laser
Right.
where they go and like artificially change the skin. We call it more graceful aging. What
Mhm.
it does, it enhances what already you're doing. And this is something that I've been doing shockwave for myself, for my face for so long that when I go with my friends, with my generation, like best friend that I grew up, for example, with, you can see the difference that I'm not aging, as
Right.
fast as they are, and it's all from those shockwave treatments
How
because
often do
it
you do it? Like for you, because I'm like to the point where I've done my series, now I'm doing my micro needling, and then I might just do, like a couple weeks from now, I might hit my skin again.
yeah,
And I think for me, because I have, the device, I can definitely
yes.
see a difference. But is it like
Yeah,
once a month? Is it every 3 months that
so
you've been
with
doing it?
acoustic wave, I would say just go, you can go once a month, every 6 weeks.
Hmm.
You can do that. So I used to have the aesthetic portion at my clinic, at Unpain
Hmm.
Clinic. But because we are franchising and we focus the name Unpain is
Right.
specifically for pain. So that's why we have left that as an optional.
Right.
And before I used to have, like full on aesthetic, like I had a person that did microneedling, that did everything. So we had the Visi where you take before and after picture and all
Right.
that
Right.
stuff. So we would say to people, whenever you do your regular facial treatments, once a month or once every 6 weeks, you can incorporate. So if somebody's going through, let's say, microneedling, you're doing microneedling, then every time before they do microneedling, you can do the shockwave. But if they're just doing the shockwave, depends again who you're treating. If they're looking for a more significant change, then go once a month or once every 6 weeks. If somebody is young, they're not responding as much, like the change is not as noticeable as significant, but you tell them this is more prevention, this is good for your health of your skin, do it once every 3 months.
So do you have patients that will like do radial and then like the same day and then do microneedling right after?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yeah, that's how
okay.
we do it. Yes.
Oh, so really, so if I were to, so moving forward, actually, when I do my microneedling, I should do like, because I just had microneedling on Friday. Should I have
Yeah.
done it that morning and then got my
Yeah.
microneedling?
Because the way how we used to do, we had the same practitioner. They go and clean up the face. They do the shockwave first, clean up that. They put the numbing cream and they do the microneedling.
Oh,
So
interesting.
everything is done all at the same time.
Okay. I wasn't sure of, so I'm glad because I have a patient tomorrow. When is she coming? She coming today? She might be coming today, where she's gonna do radial first, and then she's going across the street to do the
Yes,
microneedling.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
So that's
yeah,
how you would
yeah,
recommend it.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
perfect. Yeah.
yes,
And I
yeah,
just, I think for me and, I'm in my 50s, I'm 57, and it's like I have always done a good job of taking care of my skin with the amount of time that I've been out in the sun. But I can definitely tell that just by me incorporating the microneedling, because I did some peels last year and I didn't like the
yes,
intense halo and just all these like
yes,
downtime where you're like, oh my God, I have to be at home for like 3 days. And so I think, it's one of those things where with all of my patients who are probably, 40s to 50s, I'm just saying, like, again, this is just a tool in your tool belt for anti-aging because we're going to keep aging. Just like
yes,
our
yes,
bodies, we're going to keep using our bodies too. Like, so if you have an injury with the MSK, and I mean, granted, my shoulders are great, but I had, Saeed work on my shoulder off and on for a few years. And then when we started our practice, I had Eric hit it. And I mean, I'm 98%.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like we're
yes,
gonna keep using our bodies and we're gonna keep aging. So I do think there's also, we're kind of like with aesthetics and MSK, there's a maintenance program to some of this
yes,
too.
yes, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 obviously. And this is something that we have, a lot of biohackers that they're talking, to extend the life, which great. If they can achieve that, it's amazing. Like, thanks God for that or
Right,
universe.
right, right.
But my approach is we are still doing biohacking, but it's more about quality of life.
Hmm.
You cannot determine how long you're going to live. You never know that. But for as long as you live, you want to live without pain.
Right.
And that's the beauty of Shockwave, because we have clients that come and do Shockwave in regular basis just as a maintenance, and it's interesting. And I don't know, it could be a coincidence, but I have a client who has been getting Shockwave. She went through a lot of hardship in her life,
Hmm.
lost husband, um, like very busy, stressful with businesses and all that stuff. And then because we treated her neck a lot with Shockwave, when she went to do a carotid test to see if there's any calcium buildup in the carotid arteries, they couldn't find any.
Because of the
Like,
shockwave.
literally, I don't know. I don't know. But she came back and she said, Uran, they said this, like, this is unusual for your age, like 55 plus, not to have a single calcium buildup on the artery. Like, we did not see this. And she said to me, is it possible the shockwave? And I said, you know what? You're the first case. In theory, yes, I can attribute to the shockwave because we have treated your neck for so long, for so much with focal shockwave that that could have done it. I have another case. I see her actually this Thursday, I think. She deals with a chronic autoimmune disease, that she has to gets lots of IV, like gets ozone, get all
Right.
kind of IVs, and it gets to a point sometimes they cannot find veins anymore. And when we did shockwave, the veins start coming back.
Because of blood
So
flow.
blood flow because of
Yeah.
the angiogenesis. So
Yeah.
now she comes actually for that treatment, and the nurses say it's like, hey, it's time to go and get shockwave because we need your veins, and it's not.
Interesting.
So those are things that science or scientists or doctors or the research, it's only done mainly in MSK because most of the users are orthopedic surgeons, or it's used in MSK world. But now when we look at, for example, I was just in Europe in October last year, and I see how much it's for brain health.
Well, the
And
Neurolift, right? That's a
the
whole new
Neuralift,
device.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like it's
amazing.
amazing
Yeah.
when you look at the heart regeneration. So this is the beauty of Shockwave, that doesn't matter what body part is. If it's going to enhance a cell in your Achilles, we still have the same cell everywhere
Right.
else.
Right.
Like, it's just a matter of like doing it. So sometimes, clients, they don't realize, because when healing comes from inside you, you adapt to that change. You feel that is the normal. I
Hmm.
always take the clients and I say, okay, think 3 months ago, 6 months ago, were you able to do this? No. Now you're doing it,
Right.
you know? So those are kind of the like that's where the shockwave is going, and it's beautiful. So whoever is thinking in getting in shockwave, this is just the beginning.
Yeah. I want to tell a EMTT story. This is kind of a cool story.
Please.
And I would love just kind of, for you to, because I think I know what happened, but this was not this past Christmas Eve. And maybe I told you this story, but the Christmas Eve before, I was getting ready to go work out and I was putting on my workout pants. And of course, I think it was my psoas because I think your psoas is the culprit of so many back issues. And I'd kind of bent over to put my pants on and it felt like my back seized up. I was like,
Yes.
shit, what is going on? And so I kind of stand up real quick and I go lay on ice and I'm like, oh my God, we're supposed to go to dinner and then we're supposed to ski on Christmas Day. I'm like, I'm running to the office. I'm gonna go to the office. I'm gonna
Yeah.
throw the EMTT on it. So I lay on my stomach and I put the EMTT, I think it was on my left side. And I think I did like, I don't know, 5 or 6,000 on the left. And I could literally, I think I could
Feel it
feel
in the
my
front. Yeah.
psoas
I
kind
know.
of twitching, right?
Spasming.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it does
Then
that.
I
Yeah.
flipped over and I did like another, I don't know, 4 or 5 on the front. Okay, fine. So I leave and I'm like, all right, feels a little bit better. So we go to Christmas Eve dinner at my in-laws. And it was a feeling of going from seated to standing, which that's why I feel like I know
Yes.
that it's your
Yes.
psoas. And so next day, get up. I'm like, all right, well, I went from about a 10 to about maybe a 7 or an 8 on Christmas morning. So we go skiing. It's like, right, I'll try to go skiing. Now I think skiing was probably good because I was moving, right? I wasn't just
Moving.
sitting.
Yes.
So it just kind of hurt getting off and on the chairlift, whatever. We get in the car to come home and we're stuck in traffic for 3 hours. And I thought, I'm not even going to be able to get out of the car.
Yeah.
I get out of the car. Now I'm at a 5.
Yes.
I get up the next morning. I'm at a 3. By the third day, it was gone.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I try
Yeah.
to share these stories. Now, I think I use the shockwave a lot more than Eric. I think just because that's just part,
Yes.
I'm like,
Yes.
treat
Yes.
my
Yeah.
shoulder, treat my feet. I need you to treat me because I love this stuff. But like for me, I love sharing these stories with my patients. And this EMTT one, I'm like, I really find that there's a lot of magic in this EMTT that we don't really know about yet.
There
But
is.
my opinion or my thought is, did I just really get those cells active to that area to start the healing process? Or was it just me
Yes.
getting the inflammation down? Like, I don't really know what happened, but how would you explain that more in layman's terms?
So what EMTT does, it opens up the ion channels on the
Right.
cell.
That I do know. Right.
So yeah, it modulates the inflammation. So number one, you brought the inflammation down. Even though physically it does not relax the muscle, but just opening up the ion channel, you put the cell almost like in a relaxed state.
Right away.
You
Before it
bring
had an opportunity to like
exactly.
shut down,
Yes.
kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sorry, now I'm gonna go a little bit more on the spiritual world. Excuse me. Psoas, it's considered the muscle of the soul.
I didn't I should know that. I didn't know that. We were going to my in-laws. That's probably why I flared.
Exactly. So it was your mother-in-law.
Oh my God, I gotta write that down. The psoas is the muscle of the soul.
Yeah. So what happens is when the nervous system it's more in fight and flight mode, then the muscle, especially the psoas, tend to tense. When you do the EMTT, it has actually calming effect. So it
Okay.
calmed down. So it did not allow your psoas to tighten up further. So it just changed the direction that was going and it started releasing. So that's
Okay.
how I see it work. I had a client, this was, oh my God, 12, 13 years ago. Very significant psoas muscle tightness. I did Shockwave. And she came back a week later. She said, Ron, like my psoas pain is literally 100%. Like it's like the tightness is gone. But I almost broke up with my boyfriend. Like her emotional state was like out of control. So when you treat psoas muscles, especially if they're significantly tight, I tell people that if you feel emotionally off a little bit, it's because this is what's happening.
Very interesting.
So,
I didn't
yeah,
even know that. But I also think, and maybe like, just because so many people, I've had the privilege, I guess, if you want to say, of being in a world of always being on my feet and in my body and moving. So I
sure.
haven't been stuck at a desk or a chair.
Yeah,
And like, I think so many people, being seated for so long, their psoas is shortened and then
shortened. Yes.
everything is
Yeah.
stretched out in the back. So I do think, but also too, if you're sitting, you're not moving your body, you're not moving energy through
Exactly,
either.
exactly. But the other thing, Kathleen, with EMTT is that it goes so deep,
Yeah.
like it reaches, then it's so wide. Because even with Shockwave, when you treat those psoas, you can only hit certain spots. You cannot hit the whole muscle.
Right, right,
That's the beauty of EMTT. You have the spread,
right.
and that's
But it goes both directions. So does it really go 6 inches both way, or is it 3 or
yes,
4?
yeah. I was just in at the I met the engineers of EMTT and I talked to them. They explained that yes, it goes both direction and side as well. But then what I'm learning from experience, even with EMTT, knowing how to position for a specific condition
Right.
makes a difference.
Okay.
For instance, in shoulder, if it's more supraspinatus, I actually put it laterally. I put the glenohumeral joint inside the circle.
Yeah, so, like, right here.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because if I just put it front, it does not have the same effect. So,
Right.
so kind of just knowing those positions, it makes a difference.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think with I think the shoulder's a little bit easier because people can really feel it more
Yes. Yeah.
than like, I
Yeah.
feel it a lot in my hips,
Yes. Yes.
and I don't know if it's because I'm a woman, because more women feel it in their hips than men.
True.
And is it just because babies or inflammation or
I think it has to do probably with muscle thickness,
right.
consistency. So men typically have thicker muscles, so that can
Okay.
absorb the energy more.
Okay.
With women's, there's no much muscle, like the thickness is not there, so then it's hitting more the nerves, it's hitting more the periosteum, so that's why you feel it
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
I
And
think
I
that's
have,
that's what it is.
and I'm pretty lean too, so,
Yeah.
I mean, I can put it on there and I'm like, "Whoa,
Yes.
wowza,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's a
But
lot."
normally EMTT does not really hurt. But there are
No.
some spots that you really feel it.
I always feel it in my low back. I mean, I think just, SI issues over the years. I mean, my back is great. The other question I was going to ask you is, have you seen any or done any studies on osteopenia or osteoporosis reversal with EMT?
Uh, no, I haven't done that. But
Okay.
last year, I was contacted by university from California. I don't know which part of California, but apparently there was something in Californian water that caused bone deterioration.
Okay.
And then they fixed the cause. And then the university was doing a research to see what is the tool that can reverse the damage. They
Uh-huh.
found the empty.
Okay.
They contacted local distributor there. He said, I only sell it. I have no clue what to tell you. So let's talk to Uran. And then I talked to them. So I think they got the EMTT. Now they're doing the study.
Okay.
So personal experience, my son broke his ankle, like the growth plate
Ooh.
last year in April, end of April, playing basketball. Half an hour after injury, I did the MTT. He did not need medication. He had no pain. And then we did the MTT every 2 days with literally just tiny bit of focal shockwave.
Okay.
And in 3 weeks, he was off of air boot. We went to Disney World for a week, traveled,
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
back and was playing basketball to the point that in school they were telling him you faked your injury because they could not believe that you can go from an ankle
Right.
fracture or fissure to like in a month playing basketball
Yeah.
back again. So it is very powerful for bone conditions. We have saved so many people from surgeries where they needed fixations and hard bursts for radial and ulna fractures.
Fractures.
So the good thing is the MTT goes even through the cast. So there's
I didn't know
nothing.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Okay.
goes through the cast. So for acute cases, EMTT is beautiful. I have a location inside a private golf club, and the head of maintenance, he could not move his head. And I just saw him at the staff room, and he said, like, I cannot turn my head. Like, can you
Right.
just help me? I said, hey, I have no time, but I'm just gonna put you on this. So I know him for like 15 plus years and treated him. So I said, go face down, put the EMTT. And I said to the assistant, like, once it beeps, just take it off. So I left, and literally 3 hours later, he's like, what the hell is that? I can move my neck.
Yeah.
Like, why? So that's how I use. EMTT now with Shockwave a lot because Shockwave gets the biology going,
Hmm.
gets the regeneration, and the EMTT kind of fills all the empty spaces of that area. It's almost like if you're filling a jar, with rocks and what every modality has a benefit. EMTT is
Hmm.
the sand that kind of fills
Right. Right.
everything around it.
And I think, like, for me, when I'm, trying to explain, and maybe this is something that, in terms of this is more of a practice where when you tell people about all the devices, you kind of have to be like, the radial is, the outer part, the focal is the deep part, and then the
Yes.
EMTT is like the fertilizer for all of
Yeah,
it.
you can say that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
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 Because it's so confusing to the average consumer.
I know. Okay, this is one thing, and it's interesting because this is now more a personal story, but it's
Right.
it's the reality, and it's all healthcare practitioners. They are amazing humans. They want to help people with their heart, but when it comes to the business, they don't know how to run the business, and
Hmm.
that's why your collaboration with Eric worked beautifully because you're the business person, he's the practitioner.
Hmm.
So you work on that. What I've done, us is I have an unpaid clinic and I turned it now into a franchise. And now I'm like offering that as a business in a box because doesn't matter how much tool you have, doesn't matter how much, technology you have. Imagine how many better burgers are out there better than McDonald's,
Right.
but they're not known as McDonald's, because
Right.
McDonald's is the marketing, is the way how it's served, is the whole experience.
Did you read
Same
that
thing
book,
is
The Golden Arches?
no,
You
I've
should.
seen the movie. I've seen
Yeah,
the
I
movie.
mean, it's all about systems, right? Like,
It's
they got it down to a science.
it's all about the
Yeah,
systems. And
right,
it's incredible how one word can actually make the difference. Just the way how you explain it, just the way how you educate people.
right.
Because, for example, now we don't allow our clients, like we are launching a brand new website, which is insane. Like we have been working for a year. And the main reason is that clients are having hard time explaining what Shockwave is to
Mhm.
their husband, to their family member. So they are your brand ambassadors, but if
Right,
they don't know how to explain it, they cannot convert.
right, right.
So now we don't want to allow people just to say anything and everything. We give a specific link. Hey, if you want to explain the shockwave, here's the link.
Right.
And then we explain it to them. And then once they understand, they convert and they come here. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. So Kathleen, is there anything that I should have asked you and I did not ask you?
Maybe, like, what do I see the future of Shockwave? I think for me, not even a question, but just more of a statement is, I feel like I have this opportunity. I mean, I'm not 35 anymore. And and Eric and I are both in our 50s, and it's kind of like, I want this to really, I don't want to know. The golf is going to be a legacy of mine. I'm going to be a legacy golf pro in Colorado and all
Yes.
that stuff. And that's
Yes.
amazing and great. But I kind of want to be somewhat, especially as a woman, there's
Yeah.
not a lot of female shockwave providers.
Correct.
And one thing that I know about me is that I can captivate an audience and I can
Yes.
sell and I can educate. And I really want for our business and just maybe in Colorado or whatever to kind of be that face to really get the message out, and that it's
Yes.
not some, shoddy, cheap, quick fix thing. Like, this is here to
Yes.
stay. And I think for me, I really want to be somewhat of a face for it
Yeah.
because I'm not a
Yes.
practitioner. So I think I shine in a different arena than the doctor across the street who has
Correct.
12 other things that he's trying to throw in the
Yes.
toolbox.
Yes.
Does
Yeah.
that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes. And for any breakthrough to happen, you must combine two unique abilities, which
Right.
is your unique ability is the business, is the marketing, is the PR, is the education, where Eric is the application. And one beauty with Shockwave is that it extends your practice life. It's not manually demanding.
Right.
Yes, Shockwave is the only thing that you have to do it physically to hold the wand, but the
Right.
MTT, it's automatic treatment. But Eric,
That's
for example, if he was thinking just to work till 65 or something, you can literally still practice and do things even at 75 because it's
right.
easy
Right.
on the body, it's good for you, it's good for people. And that's
Yeah.
what people are looking today.
Yes.
So I always say it's not The Practitioner is the playbook. If you're stuck in old school, still trying to stretch a muscle by holding 30 seconds
Right,
manually, and you're the samurai, which is
right,
great. You have the art of using the sword. But if there's a sniper there, it's a whole different story.
right, right.
And that's how much things have changed. And the other thing is people are looking for fast, effective. They don't have the time to go for treatments all the time. So you have to invest on the tools, you have the experience, you combine those two, and that's how you move forward.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely an exciting time, just kind of seeing where things are. I mean, we've come a long way. I feel like we are at that
Yeah.
point in the business where we have to take a bigger step,
Yes.
like marketing and, all those things and building our team, which is a little scary being an entrepreneur
Yeah.
by myself for the
Yes.
last
Yes.
25 years. And I got to do it my way. But I
Yes.
feel like I'm learning with this business model. I've never invested in technology. I've always been just me and my business. This is
Yes. Yes.
kind of a
Yeah.
different thing, but I do think we are on the right track and having things like I Love Shockwave
Yeah.
and the resources that you provide with. And I have told a lot of, I'm on some boards and LinkedIn, and I'm always saying, what's the protocol? Go to I Love Shockwave. Like that's somebody that developed all these things, and invest in it because it's really going to help you grow your practice, I think, faster because you know what you're
Yeah.
doing and you're going to get better results.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
and I've
Okay, Kathleen.
experienced it. The one more thing I will say
Yes. Yeah.
is
Please.
and then we can wrap it up, but I gave myself double Achilles tendinopathy from wearing zero drop shoes too long.
Okay.
Okay, so I was like, all right, well, I'll just, I'll kind of spot treat because Eric's too busy. I'll figure it out. I'll do it on I'm, treating. And finally he was like, we need to do the full protocol. Like, let's do the full protocol and let's see where we get. So he did the full protocol on both of and this was both because I went zero drop in my shoes. And then I also changed my golf shoes to these Olakai golf shoes, which are also a
Yeah.
little bit less support. So my Achilles double on both sides. So I get up in the morning and my first few steps, I was like, am I 85? Like what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yes.
I mean, by the end of the day, it was fine. So anyway, long story short, we did the 4. We said, okay, let's give it a month. And in a month, I was like 75%. We did a 5th and now I'm 90. And so we're
Yes.
laughing because we're like, because we went and we looked at the protocol from I Love Shockwave. He's like, we have to do the full protocol. Me, I'm like, oh, I can just, I can do it myself. I can do some radial and focus. It'll work. So anyway, that's my kind of
Yeah.
test to your protocols is that you did the protocol and it worked.
Personally, I've delivered over 40,000 treatments, and I've learned that there's nuances, number of shocks, the type of applicator, because if
Right,
you don't do that, you're not gonna get the results that you can
right,
get.
right. It's
So
important.
thank you for sharing that. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna add a tip for you.
Yes.
Every time when we have bilateral tendinopathy, the cause in your case, it's not the support of your shoes. It's actually your glute max muscle engagement. So if the glute max muscle wasn't like it changed the position
Oh,
and the
interesting.
fibers weren't working as they should, and all the loads end up on the Achilles.
Interesting. But the
So
shoes started the biomechanical
correct,
shoes. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
And I
what
was
we do
super
typically, yes, so we
yeah.
go and treat that, but then we do some activation of the glutes. Sorry,
Yeah.
glute
Yeah.
max.
I mean, I
Yes,
do a lot of glute work. I mean, I do, my background, I
perfect.
was a
Yes,
bodybuilder for a while.
yes.
I was a
Wow,
competitive
wow, whoa,
bodybuilder. Yeah, I've been working
wow.
out for a long time. I'll send you a
Yes,
picture
yeah.
sometime. I was in
Oh my
college.
God, oh my
I did
God, oh my
I
God.
did 2 shows. So I
That's
do a lot of
amazing.
work on my body. I know glutes are like the powerhouse of everything, and most people have
Exactly.
lazy butts.
Yes, yes.
But I like the
Yeah,
tip. I'll remember
yeah,
that. I love it. Love
yeah,
it.
yes.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, Kathleen. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, no, this
Thank
was
you for
great.
everybody, who's staying with us until this moment, and I hope
Yeah.
you got some pearls from us.